Right now, over 100 million Americans are in the path of what could be the most devastating ice storm this century. And the computer models just shifted overnight, changing everything we thought we knew about who gets hit hardest. In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly which cities just moved into the danger zone, why meteorologists are calling this a nightmare to forecast, and the critical mistake that could leave you without power for more than a week. But here is what you need to know immediately. If you live anywhere between Texas and Pennsylvania, the next 24 hours are your last chance to prepare. Winter storm watches are now active across 15 states. That is Dallas, Little Rock, Nashville, Huntsville, all the way to the Texas Panhandle. Oklahoma City, Tulsa, the entire state of Arkansas, northern Louisiana, and stretching into Kentucky. This is not a drill. This is happening, and it is happening fast. Here is the shock you were not expecting. The European computer model, the most reliable forecast tool we have, just showed this storm strengthening and shifting north in a way forecasters have never seen before. What does that mean for you? If you were expecting snow, you might now be looking at a devastating ice storm instead. If you thought you were getting ice, you could be facing heavy rain while cities just 50 miles north of you get buried. Let me tell you what changed in the last 12 hours. Because this is the information that could determine whether you are prepared or caught off guard. Two separate pieces of energy, one from Canada bringing Arctic air, another from the Pacific Ocean bringing moisture, are about to collide over the heartland of America. When these systems link up, and they are linking up faster than expected, the storm does not just grow, it explodes. The storm intensifies, wind speeds increase, and when winds get stronger, they push warm air further north. That warm air is the difference between snow and ice. That warm air is what turns a manageable snowstorm into a catastrophic ice event that shuts down entire cities. Let me give you the numbers that matter. The European model is now showing 1 to 2 inches of ice accumulation across a massive corridor from northeast Georgia through upstate South Carolina and into the Piedmont of North Carolina. 1 to 2 inches of ice. If you have never experienced an ice storm before, let me paint the picture for you. Half an inch of ice can snap tree limbs and power lines. 3/4 of an inch can bring down entire trees. 1 inch of ice can collapse power infrastructure across entire counties. 2 inches of ice is catastrophic. We are talking about weeks without power in some areas. And here is your first reward for staying with me. I am going to tell you exactly which areas are most at risk and what the timeline looks like. But first, you need to understand why this storm is so dangerous, because it is not just about the ice and snow. It is about what comes after. The Arctic blast following this storm is going to lock temperatures 20 to 40 degrees below normal for over a week. This is not your typical southern winter storm where you get 3 inches of snow and then it is 50 degrees the next day and everything melts. Whatever ice and snow falls during this event will stay frozen on the ground for 7 to 10 days, maybe longer. Check this out. By Friday night and Saturday, temperatures will be running 40 degrees below average across Oklahoma and Texas. 40 degrees below normal. By Monday, after the storm passes, we are looking at single-digit temperatures, even below zero in some locations. Tuesday morning brings teens across the Carolinas, and it just keeps coming. Thursday of next week, we are still struggling to reach freezing in the afternoon, with morning temperatures back in the teens. Why does this matter? Because when power lines go down under the weight of ice and temperatures stay this cold for this long, we are not talking about a one-day inconvenience. We are talking about people without heat, without power, unable to travel to warming centers for potentially a week or more. This is a dangerous, life-threatening situation. Now, let me break down exactly what is happening in the atmosphere, because understanding this will help you understand why forecasters keep changing the track. Weather balloons are not picking up enough data yet because the storm energy is still off the coast of California and up in Canada. Not many planes are flying through it. We do not have enough surface observations. So, the computer models are working with incomplete information. But here is what we do know. The European model shows these two pieces of energy connecting right over the central United States. When they connect, they scoop each other up, combining forces. This creates a much stronger surface storm. Stronger storm means stronger winds. Stronger winds mean more warm air pushes north. More warm air pushing north means the rain, snow, ice line shifts northward. This is exactly what happened overnight. The European model showed this connection happening faster and more intensely than previous runs. That is why areas that were forecast for heavy snow are now looking at ice. That is why areas forecast for ice might now see rain. But here is the critical question everyone is asking. Are we done with the shifts? Is this the final forecast? And the answer is no. We are not done yet. The storm could still shift back south. Not all the way back, probably not enough to give Charlotte all snow instead of ice, but it could move. We need more atmospheric sampling. We need weather balloons to launch. We need more data to feed into the models. Here is what makes this storm unique and particularly difficult to forecast. You have got very cold Arctic air spilling down from Canada. Anytime you see temperatures at or below freezing about 3,300 feet above the ground across the southern United States, you know you have got serious cold in place. And on top of that cold air, the storm is cranking an atmospheric river of moisture. Look at the jet stream. It is picking up moisture all the way from the Pacific Ocean and throwing it across the eastern United States. It is pulling moisture from the Gulf of Mexico. This is an enormous fetch of moisture running straight into that dense, cold Arctic air. When moisture hits cold air like this, it is forced to rise. That rising motion creates clouds, precipitation, and massive amounts of total liquid equivalent. Some forecast models are showing 2 to 4 inches of liquid precipitation. That is the amount of water if you melted all the snow, sleet, and ice. 2 to 4 inches does not sound like much until you realize that 1 inch of liquid can equal 10 inches of snow in cold conditions, or it can equal 1 inch of ice when temperatures are right at freezing. Let me show you the differences between the two main models, because this is where things get really interesting and a bit frightening. The European model, which we tend to trust more in these situations, shows the storm taking a track further north. It brings heavy snow to Virginia, Maryland, Pennsylvania, and West Virginia. We are talking about 1 to 2 feet of snow in the higher terrain areas, around a foot in Philadelphia, around a foot in northern New Jersey, 6 to 10 inches in New York City, 6 to 10 inches across Connecticut, Rhode Island, and Massachusetts. But here is the devastating part. The European model shows almost no snow for Charlotte, Greenville, Spartanburg, Columbia, or Atlanta. Instead, it shows ice, lots of ice. The ensemble mean, which averages multiple forecast scenarios, shows 1 to 2 inches of ice right along the Interstate 85 corridor from northeast Georgia through upstate South Carolina and into the North Carolina Piedmont. Now, the American GFS model tells a slightly different story. It keeps more snow further south. It shows Charlotte potentially getting significant accumulation, maybe even close to a foot. But here is the catch. The GFS includes sleet in those totals. Sleet is not the same as fluffy snow. 5 inches of sleet mixed with snow and ice is very different from a foot of pure powder. And right now, forecasters are leaning more toward the European model being correct. Why? Because the European model has been more consistent. It has been handling the upper-level energy better. And when we look at how these two pieces of energy are interacting, the physics supports a stronger, more northward storm track. But wait, there is more. And this is where it gets even more complicated. Some model runs are showing such a strong system that parts of the South Carolina and Georgia low country could actually see severe weather. Tornadoes. Yes, you heard that right. One model shows a winter storm for some areas, while another shows a tornado threat for areas just 100 miles away. And we are only 3 days out from the event. This tells you everything you need to know about how difficult this storm is to forecast. This is a meteorological nightmare. The range of possible outcomes is still wide, but the one thing every model agrees on is this: a major, impactful, dangerous winter storm is coming, and it is coming soon. Let me talk about timing, because this is critical for your preparation. Today, Wednesday, is your last calm day in most areas. By Thursday, conditions begin to deteriorate. Precipitation starts moving in from the west. By Friday, we are in the thick of it. Friday into Saturday is when the heaviest snow, ice, and rain occurs across most of the impact zone. But the precipitation is not the end of it. Saturday, the Arctic air crashes in behind the storm, and that is when temperatures absolutely tank. We are talking about wind chills well below zero across the northern plains. Wind chills in the single digits across Oklahoma and Arkansas. Wind chills in the teens across the Carolinas and Georgia. Here is the scenario that keeps emergency managers awake at night. Ice accumulates on Friday. Power lines start coming down Friday night and Saturday morning. Temperatures plummet Saturday afternoon. And then we are stuck in a deep freeze for the entire next week. Crews cannot get power restored quickly when it is this cold. Line workers can only be outside for limited periods. Frozen precipitation makes roads impassable. Equipment fails in extreme cold. Some communities could be without power for 7 days, possibly longer. When you do not have power for a week in single-digit temperatures, this becomes a life safety issue. This is why preparation today and tomorrow is so critical. Let me tell you exactly what you need to do right now. Stock up on non-perishable food. Get enough for at least 7 days. Fill up your bathtubs with water before the storm hits, in case pipes freeze or you lose water pressure. Make sure you have battery-powered or hand-crank radios. Get extra batteries for flashlights. Fill any prescriptions you need. If you take daily medications, make sure you have enough for at least 2 weeks. Charge all your devices. Have backup power banks fully charged. If you have a generator, test it now. Make sure you have enough fuel. And remember, never run a generator indoors or in an attached garage. Carbon monoxide poisoning kills people every winter storm. Check on your neighbors, especially elderly neighbors or anyone with medical conditions. Make a plan for how you will check on each other if power goes out. If you have pets, bring them inside. Have enough food and water for them too. Here is something most people do not think about. Your car is a potential lifeline. Make sure you have at least a half tank of gas. Keep an emergency kit in your vehicle with blankets, water, snacks, a flashlight, and a phone charger. If you have to travel and you get stranded, your car can be a temporary shelter, but only if you are prepared. Now, at the 5-minute mark, I promised I would deliver exactly which areas face the highest risk. Here it is. The highest probability for crippling ice, based on current model data, runs from eastern Texas through Arkansas, across Tennessee, into Kentucky, and down through the Interstate 85 corridor of the Carolinas and Georgia. Cities like Little Rock, Memphis, Nashville, Huntsville, Birmingham, Atlanta, Greenville, Charlotte, Greensboro. This is your crippling ice zone. The highest snowfall totals are forecast for the Appalachian Mountains, Western Virginia, West Virginia, Western Maryland, and into south-central Pennsylvania. These areas could see 1 to 2 feet of snow, with some isolated amounts possibly higher in the highest elevations. Northern Oklahoma, northern Arkansas, and southern Missouri could see 6 inches to a foot of snow. The I-95 corridor from Washington, D.C. through Baltimore, Philadelphia, and into New York and Boston is looking at a wide range, from a few inches to potentially close to a foot, depending on the exact track. But here is what I need you to understand. These forecasts are still evolving. The storm track could shift 50 miles either direction and completely change your forecast. A 50-mile shift means the difference between all snow and all ice. It means the difference between 6 inches and nothing. This is why you cannot wait for the perfect forecast. You cannot wait until you know for sure exactly what you are going to get. By the time we have that level of certainty, it will be too late to prepare. The grocery stores will be empty. The roads will be dangerous. You need to prepare now as if you are getting the worst-case scenario. Let me address something important. Some of you watching this might be thinking, they always hype these storms and nothing happens. I get it. Forecast busts happen. But here is what you need to consider. Every single model, every forecaster, every weather service is in agreement that a significant winter storm is coming. The disagreement is only about the exact details. Snow versus ice, 6 inches versus 12 inches. But nobody is saying this storm is going to miss us or weaken significantly. When you see winter storm watches posted 5 days in advance covering 15 states, that is not hype. That is preparation. The National Weather Service does not issue watches lightly. They do it when confidence is high that dangerous conditions are coming. Here is another number that should concern you. The Weather Prediction Center has placed much of the South under a high risk for ice accumulation. High risk is their most serious category. They reserve it for situations where they have high confidence in significant, damaging ice. The last time we saw a high risk for ice across this large an area was years ago. Let me paint a picture of what 1 to 2 inches of ice looks like, because I do not think most people truly grasp the severity. Imagine every surface, every tree branch, every power line, coated in ice an inch thick or more. The weight is immense. A single mile of power line coated in 1 inch of ice can weigh over 5 tons. Trees that have stood for decades snap like toothpicks. Power poles lean and collapse. Transformers explode with loud booms as ice weight pulls lines down. After the January 2014 ice storm hit parts of the South, some areas were without power for 2 weeks, and that storm dropped less ice than what is currently being forecast for this event. The 2009 ice storm in Kentucky left people without power for nearly 3 weeks in some counties. Over 1 million people lost electricity. Shelters overflowed. The National Guard was deployed. These are not ancient history events. This is recent memory. And based on current forecasts, this storm has the potential to be worse than both of those events for some locations. Now, here is something that is going to surprise you about how ice forms and why it is so dangerous. You might think ice happens when it is really cold. Actually, the most dangerous ice storms happen when temperatures are right around 30 to 33 degrees. That is the magic range where precipitation falls as liquid rain, but the moment it touches any surface, it instantly freezes. This is called freezing rain, and it is far more destructive than sleet. Sleet bounces, it might accumulate, but it does not stick to every surface with a death grip. Freezing rain coats everything. It builds up layer after layer. Every raindrop that falls adds another sheet of ice. And because temperatures are right at freezing, the storm can produce freezing rain for many hours, even days, without changing to snow or warming up to plain rain. The European model is showing exactly this setup. Temperatures in the lower 30s, heavy precipitation rates, long duration event, Friday into Saturday. This is the recipe for a catastrophic ice storm. Now, let me tell you about the cold that follows, because this is the part that turns a major winter storm into a prolonged disaster. The Arctic air mass moving in behind this storm is not a typical cold snap. This is a legitimate Arctic outbreak. Some of the coldest air we have seen in years is going to settle over the eastern half of the country and just sit there. Temperature anomalies of 40 degrees below normal sound abstract until you see what it means in actual numbers. Dallas, normally in the 50s this time of year, could see highs in the teens. Atlanta, typically in the 50s, might struggle to reach 30. Charlotte could see multiple days where the high temperature does not get above 25 degrees. And it is not just one cold day. It is day after day after day. The pattern does not break. Current extended forecasts show below normal temperatures continuing for at least 10 to 12 days, possibly longer. Some long-range models suggest this cold pattern could persist into early February. Why does this matter so much? Because any ice that forms is not melting. In a typical southern winter storm, you might get ice Friday, but by Sunday, it is 45 degrees and sunny, and everything melts. Roads clear. Power gets restored. Life returns to normal. Not this time. The ice is going to stay frozen. The snow is going to stay on the ground. The dangerous conditions are going to persist. Travel will be impossible in many areas for days. Even if you have a four-wheel drive vehicle, you cannot drive on 2 inches of ice. Salt does not work when temperatures are in the teens. Even if roads get treated, they will refreeze every single night. Monday night, back into the teens. Tuesday night, back into the teens. Wednesday night, back into the teens. This creates a compounding problem. Day 1, some power outages. Day 2, more outages as ice continues to accumulate and winds pick up. Day 3, repair crews cannot get to all the damage because of road conditions. Day 4, more outages from the continued cold and weight of ice. Day 5, people are running out of supplies. Day 6, emergency shelters are at capacity. Day 7, this has become a major regional disaster. I am not trying to scare you. I am trying to prepare you for the reality of what we could be facing. And the truth is, we have seen this happen before. It can happen again. It likely will happen with this storm in some areas. Here is what makes me most concerned as someone who has covered winter storms for years. The combination of factors: significant ice accumulation, extreme cold, long duration, large geographic area, and poor timing. This is hitting right at the end of January when cities and states have already used a good portion of their winter weather response budgets and resources. It is hitting multiple states simultaneously, which means mutual aid and help from neighboring areas might not be available because everyone is dealing with their own disaster. Let me give you some perspective on the snow potential, too, because while ice is grabbing headlines in the South, the snow is going to be a major story across the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast. The European model ensemble mean shows a foot to 2 feet across parts of Virginia, West Virginia, and Maryland. These are significant snowfall totals, even for areas that are used to snow. Philadelphia could see close to a foot. That is a major snowstorm for that city. New York City, 6 to 10 inches. That is enough to shut down the city, especially if winds are strong and visibility is low. And Boston, while on the northern edge, could still see accumulating snow. The difference is, these northern cities have the equipment and experience to handle snow. They have fleets of plows. They have salt stockpiles. They have plans in place. But even for them, a foot of heavy, wet snow during a pandemic with staffing challenges is not a small event. For southern cities looking at ice instead of snow, there is no amount of preparation that makes ice easy to handle. You cannot plow ice. Salt has limited effectiveness on ice, especially when temperatures are very cold. You are at the mercy of the weather, waiting for temperatures to rise above freezing long enough for ice to melt, and that is not happening next week. I want to talk about one more critical aspect of this storm that has not gotten enough attention: the wind. When this storm intensifies, and the European model shows it getting very strong, winds are going to increase significantly. We could see sustained winds of 20 to 35 miles per hour with gusts over 50 miles per hour in some locations. Now, 50-mile-per-hour winds during a rainstorm are one thing. 50-mile-per-hour winds when trees are coated in 2 inches of ice is something entirely different. The ice adds tremendous weight to tree limbs. The wind provides the force to snap them. This is when we see widespread, catastrophic tree damage. This is when power outages go from isolated to regional. The GFS model, which has been a bit more aggressive with winds, shows some areas potentially experiencing wind gusts near 60 miles per hour. If that verifies and trees are ice-loaded, we are going to see damage that looks like a hurricane came through, except everything will be frozen. Here is my professional assessment after looking at all the data, all the models, all the trends. This is going to be a significant, damaging, dangerous winter storm. The exact details of who gets what are still being worked out, but the overall threat is clear. Prepare for the worst-case scenario for your area. If models show any chance of ice, prepare for ice. If models show any chance of heavy snow, prepare for heavy snow. If models show any chance of both, prepare for both. Do not wait for the forecast to become certain. It might not become truly certain until the precipitation is already falling, and by then, it is too late. Your window to prepare is closing. Today and tomorrow are your prep days. Friday, the storm begins. Saturday, the worst of it hits many areas. And then we settle into a week plus of brutal cold. Let me leave you with this final thought. Winter storms are predictable in the sense that we know they are coming days in advance. We have models, satellites, weather balloons, but they are unpredictable in the sense that small changes in the atmosphere can create huge changes and impacts. A 2-degree temperature difference is the difference between rain and ice. A 50-mile track shift is the difference between missing the storm entirely and being in the bullseye. This uncertainty is not a failure of forecasting. It is the reality of predicting complex atmospheric events. What we can tell you with certainty is that a major storm is coming. What we cannot tell you with absolute certainty yet is exactly what will fall from the sky at your exact location. But we will keep updating you. Models will keep running, data will keep coming in, and forecasts will keep being refined. Check back frequently for updates. Follow your local National Weather Service office. Listen to local meteorologists. They know your area best. They understand your local topography, your microclimates, your specific risks, And please, drop a comment below telling me where you are watching from and what you are seeing in your area. Are you already preparing? Have you stocked up on supplies? What are you most concerned about? Knowing where everyone is located helps me provide more targeted information in future updates. And it helps create a community where we can share information and support each other through these difficult weather events. The models will run again tonight. We will have new data tomorrow morning. Trends could continue north. They could reverse back south. We could see the storm strengthen even more. We could see it weaken slightly. All of those are possible. What is not possible is that this storm simply goes away. It is coming. The question is not if, but how bad and where exactly. So take these next 24 hours seriously. Do not procrastinate. Do not assume it will not be that bad. Do not wait until Thursday night to go to the store. Go today. Go tomorrow morning. Get what you need. Prepare your home. Prepare your family. Check your emergency kits. Test your flashlights. Charge your devices. Fill up your gas tank. And then hunker down. Stay home when the storm hits. Do not travel unless absolutely necessary. If you lose power, do not use generators indoors. Do not use gas stoves or ovens for heat. Carbon monoxide kills. If your home becomes too cold, go to a warming shelter. Many communities are setting them up. Do not try to tough it out in a freezing house. This is a serious situation. But if we prepare properly, if we take it seriously, if we look out for each other, we will get through it. We have been through winter storms before. We will get through this one too. It is going to be tough. It is going to be cold. Some of you are going to lose power. Roads are going to be dangerous. But we are resilient. We are prepared. And we are in this together. Stay tuned for more updates. I will be putting out new information as it becomes available. The forecast is evolving. The storm is approaching. And your safety depends on staying informed and staying prepared. Comment below with your location. Let me know if you have questions. And most importantly, stay safe out there. This is a big one, folks. Prepare accordingly.